That's some real thirsty, desperate shit for them to fly a 17-year-old girl, on a G5. They was flying G5 and G4 jets back then. All the way to New York to rape her in the studio. Man, these celebrities gonna be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
So it looks like Diddy would have one less lawsuit to worry about, as different media sources are reporting that the court would be striking out the lawsuit filed against Diddy by Jane Doe on technicalities. But then Diddy's former long-term bodyguard Jane Doe just inserted himself in the whole drama, claiming he has seen this situation happen many times when he was with Diddy, and y'all won't believe he just spilled the tea on how Diddy managed to escape the lawsuit. It looks like Diddy's lawyers found a loophole and they are working on it to have the lawsuit thrown out by the court. The lawsuit, which was filed by a woman who wishes to remain anonymous but is codenamed Jane Doe. In the lawsuit claims Diddy and his friends forcefully had their way with her in the studio, but then in reacting to the news of the lawsuit being stuck out, Jane Doe is claiming this situation was more than a loophole. He claims someone is pulling strings behind the scenes to have Diddy freed, and this would not be the only lawsuit that would be thrown out. For those who have not clocked on to this tea, grab a seat and let me fill you in. So Diddy has been grabbing headlines in the past few months for negative reasons, and it all started after Cassie filed a civil lawsuit against him, accusing him of SA, physical abuse, and forcing her to do a lot of things against her will. The lawsuit also confirmed long-standing rumors of Diddy being DL, as she revealed that Diddy forced her to hire male escorts with BBC for what she described as freak-off parties. Diddy and Cassie settled out of court in less than 24 hours, and different media sources reported that the fee was around 6 figures. Word on the street was that Diddy knew Cassie was about to file a lawsuit, and instead of reaching her and finding a way to go about it, he called her bluff. It became one of his biggest mistakes because Cassie's lawsuit emboldened people whom Diddy had done dirty to come forward, including this next lawsuit I'm about to talk about. So after the Cassie lawsuit was swiftly settled, a woman who wanted to remain anonymous but had been codenamed Jane Doe filed her lawsuit in December 2023. In the lawsuit, she claims she was drugged, sex trafficked, and assaulted by gang. Doe claims that in a Detroit nightclub, she ran into Harv Pierre, the former president of Bad Boy Entertainment record label. According to reports, Pierre informed her that Combs would love to meet her and that she was hot. After that, Pierre is said to have called Combs and connected Doe with the producer, who advised her to board a plane for New York City alongside Pierre. She accepted, but claimed she was forced to give Pierre fellatio, who had been consuming crack cocaine before they left. While at the studio, Diddy, the third assailant, and Pierre took turns on her, and according to her, she said Combs pulled her pants and forced himself on her while she hung over a bathroom sink.
The Harv Pierre I knew back in them days, was a cornball that did everything Puff said. You know what I mean? Like he was one of Diddy's highest rock. That's some real thirsty, desperate shit for them to fly a 17-year-old girl, on a G5. They was flying G5 and G4 jets back then. All the way to New York to rape her in the studio. Man.
She said that she could barely stand up after the turns they had on her, and she was assisted into a car that transported her back to the airport, stressing that she has limited memories of returning to Michigan. The lawsuit contains pictures taken in the studio that night, leaving no doubt that Ms. Doe was in Mr. Combs' New York City studio with Mr. Combs on the night she claimed Diddy and his friends forced their way on her. The lawsuit filed by music producer Lil Rod Jones shifted attention from this case to his, but then a few days ago, Diddy's legal team asked the lawyer presiding over the Jane Doe case to throw out the case because she missed her window to sue, and more importantly, she didn't include much pertinent details. They released a statement saying, "The sparse amendments to the original complaint cannot remedy the falsehoods and incurable defects in the new pleading. Like the original complaint, it fails to state any viable claim and must be dismissed." The attorneys added, "Plaintiff cannot allege what day or time of year the alleged incident occurred, yet purports to miraculously recall the most prurient details with specificity. Accordingly, this case case should be dismissed now with prejudice to protect the Combs defendants from further reputational injury and before more party and judicial resources are squandered. So hours after Diddy's legal team released the press statement calling for the lawsuit to be struck out, different media sources started reporting that it was looking very likely that the Jane Doe lawsuit would be struck out because of the absence of evidence that could pin the crimes on Diddy and his crew. But then Jane Doe, who over the past few years has been exposing Diddy for who he truly is, weighed in on the Jane Doe case and revealed that Diddy has very powerful people who could make crimes go away in his circle. He said the moment there was no serious proofs attached to the lawsuit, he knew Diddy would walk out if it. Gene then referred to the Lil Rod Jones lawsuit, and he said a lot of powerful people are sucked into the lawsuit, and the last thing they needed was news of another lawsuit hitting the internet. He claimed most of the rap battles we are seeing now is a distraction from the people he was talking about. And since the rap battle started, attention shifted away from Diddy.
These celebrities are going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there. Hallelujah.
Jane Doe revealed that Diddy's accomplices are working hard to make all the lawsuits he's currently facing go away, and since Jane Doe filed the lawsuit anonymously, it made every sense to move a motion for it to be struck out. Jane claimed not only would Diddy escape this, he may escape the Lil Rod lawsuit too. Jane said, in as much as we all want him in prison, if he goes down, a lot of politicians, entertainers, and athletes would go down alongside him. Jane Doe exposing how Diddy escaped the Jane Doe lawsuit had fans talking, and they left comments saying Gene has been telling these stories since the 90s. He isn't lying about shit Diddy did, and I hope justice is served. I don't understand how a man with daughters could deal with a girl that young. The girl has pics of her sitting on his lap. This young girl was sitting on the devil's lap with her skirt hitched up. He could have any woman and man, and he flies out a young girl on a private plane to GR her. He actually left his home because it says he's on his way. He wants the place cleared. Knowing he's got children, boys and girls, to do something so vicious, vulgar, and heinous, throw the keys away. Justice for all. So do you think Diddy's associates made the lawsuit go away to avoid being exposed? Or do you think there's more to this story than we know? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, then check out this next video.